All right, so far in this primary process, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren have had a sort of non-aggression pact between the two progressives. They don't attack each other's movements, but they are having sort of a friendly competition on the ground to see who can get more support and a more enthusiasm, but they will not directly attack each other until now. So reports came out that in these cheat sheets that every candidate hands out to their grassroots supporters and volunteers, they hand them cheat sheets that gives arguments. It'll give them what to say to people to try to persuade them to vote for their candidate. It has rules on it for what they're allowed to do when it comes to knocking on doors and trying to rally people in local districts. And on this cheat sheet, apparently Sanders' campaign has begun to stealthily attack Warren as a candidate of the upper crust who could not expand the Democratic base in a general election. I have noticed this to be true in the actual polling numbers. When you look at a breakdown of Warren's support, she is competing for the rich, white, liberal moderates and also the progressives. So she's competing for the progressive vote with Bernie Sanders, and she's competing for the rich, white, liberal vote with Pete Buttigieg. So that's her entire coalition. She isn't expanding the party at all versus someone like Sanders who has Hispanic vote and Latino vote. He is leading. He is second place amongst Black Americans and other minority groups. He is first place among the poor, right neck and neck with Biden. Sanders is expanding his grip on the entire electorate. So bringing him to a general election would make a lot more sense than Warren if you judge it by the actual numbers now and compare it to 2016 and how voter turnout basically laid out in that cycle, which, I mean, if you're going to attack somebody, if you're going to attack Warren, this is a good way to do it because these are facts. If you look in the actual numbers, those are facts. So if I was a Bernie supporter and I was coming to you, this is what I would say based off what they told them. So I really like Elizabeth Warren. Trust me, I mean, she's done so much for the progressive movement, but it won't work because Elizabeth Warren, she isn't expanding the base at all. And in order to get these policies not only enacted but to beat Donald Trump, we need to expand the base of the party. Her supporters are all rich white liberals who are going to vote Democratic no matter who we throw out there. We need somebody who can get the young voters, who can get everyone that sat out last election. There are 108 million people that did not vote last election cycle and only 5 million moderates. We have to go after those 108 million people. The other guys just won't get it done. And Elizabeth Warren, although she is progressive, and I'm sure you like her for that, she just will not beat Donald Trump. And that's the ultimate goal. And this is why Bernie Sanders is better. So that's what they're going to say to people who may be supporting Warren to dissuade them away from her to Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders has said he was not going to go negative on any other candidate. And I wouldn't say this is exactly negative. To me, negative is more of an attack on their record, on what policies they will enact, like what Warren did to Buttigieg, attacking him for the wine cave. This isn't really an attack to me. Like when Bernie says to Biden, like your war for the or your vote for the war, and you leading the effort towards the war, that's an attack. But what he's saying about Warren is borderline an attack, but it's more, I think, letting people into the strategic mind of the Bernie campaign. I might be a little biased because I am like closer to that side than I am a Warren side by far. But I'm kind of curious to see how this is going to play out Tuesday. Will they collide at all? I don't think so. I think it'll be the same concept because, as I said before, Warren is competing more with Buttigieg for votes, and she doesn't want to attack Sanders because that might hurt both of them. And Bernie is competing for Biden's vote. So if I wanted to make predictions for the debate, I would say Biden and Bernie will clash, and Buttigieg and Warren will clash. So that's my prediction. And overall, I hope they don't get into a conflict. But I'd be curious to see what Warren's fireback is for the Bernie Sanders campaign.